Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. It's that time of year where Goodreads puts up their yearly Goodreads Choice Awards nominations, and of course the romance category is always a mess. I did post my video where I talk about the predictions that I made for this year's round, and I want to say I called maybe a little bit over half of them, so I'll take that as a win. But yeah, there's never any indie romances. They're all traditionally published romances. 99% of them are contemporary, and almost all of them have some sort of cutesy, cartoony cover. So for this video, I thought I would make things a little bit more fun and a little bit more accurate in terms of what romance readers actually read. I curated a bunch of different categories for romance, everything from different tropes to different subgenres, and put it up to a vote on my Instagram. So this is like Lacey's Romance Choice Awards 2022. I made up 19 different romance related categories, and I picked 4 to 6 of the most popular books in that category for the year. Obviously, this is just a side note. This isn't a total comprehensive list of, every single romance that came out this year. I tried to pick all the popular books of the year, but this is just me doing it by myself. So I most likely might have left off some books that probably should be included, but I still feel like I did a fairly okay job, at least, with picking all the big romance books of 2022. I didn't just pick books that I read, I definitely included books that I haven't gotten to yet, but I've heard, all the great things about. I tried to look on Goodreads for books that had a high rating and also a high number of ratings. I tried not to do any repeat books. Like, some of these books will definitely be able to fit into more than one category, but I wanted, some other books to have a chance, though I did do some repeat authors. So it's going to be a mix of all the indie romances, all the traditionally published books, all the dark romances, all the small town romances, historicals, new adult romances, all the different tropes and subgenres. So here is my version of the best/most popular romance books of 2022, although technically it's the best books of December 2021 to November 2022. And like I mentioned earlier, I did put all of these up for a vote on my Instagram stories over the weekend, so we'll see what the #1 book of each category is, and of course I'll give you guys my vote as well. Starting off with the best small town romance of 2022. For some reason 2022 was just the year of small town romances. There were so many good ones. I don't remember small town romances getting as much love in previous years, but this was a category that was a little bit hard to narrow down. But my picks for this category are Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, Tattered Stars by Catherine Cowles, Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, Juniper Hill by Devney Perry, and Flawless by Elsie Silver. My favorite of these books, I've only read 3 of the 5, but my favorite is definitely Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. It was my first time reading Lucy Score and I fell so in love. I loved the Grumpy Sunshine vibes. I loved the whole small town. It was a great read and totally worth the hype. But the winner of this category, according to the Instagram vote, was Things We Never Got Over. It had 35% of the votes, though second place came very, very close with 30%, and that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. People are loving Elsie Silver, and I really need to get on her books. I will. I swear. I'll get to her eventually. Those two were fairly close, but Things We Never Got Over is a #1 small town. For the best second chance romance of 2022, this one I kept a very close eye on, mostly because it's my favorite trope, but 2 of the books were neck to neck. The books for this category are Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, In the Weeds by B.K. Borison, and The Words by Ashley Jade. For me, I personally would not have been able to choose. I would not have been able to pick a favorite because I loved The Words so much, but I haven't read Before I Let Go, and I know that one's gonna be a favorite of mine this year, so I counted myself out for it. I have no favorite, but it would have been between those 2. And the winner of the best second chance romance is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This one won with a third of the votes. It got 33%. I didn't love this book, but I can see why people love it. So many people have read it, so many people have loved it more than me. So am I disappointed in this choice? A little bit, but I know it's a huge popular book. So many people have read it, so many people have loved it, so it's not that surprising that I won. I will say I was more interested in seeing how the voting would go between Before I Let Go and The Words, and these two literally got the same number of votes. They both got 26%, and honestly, I'm kind of happy with that. I mean, I guess if I actually voted, one of them would have come out on top, but I'm happy that these two are literally even because both of them are amazing. And then for the best romance sequel of 2022, I tried to pick from different kinds of romances, different subgenres. So I have It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, Husband Material by Alexis Hall, Crown of Crimson by Karina Halley, Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton, and A Light in the Flame by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So these are all highly anticipated sequels. Their first books are huge. My favorite of these choices is Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. The whole cat and mouse duet is fantastic. Such a good dark romance series. And the winner of the best romance sequel with 38% of the votes is Hunting Adeline. So I'm very happy to see people pick this one the most. The second most popular one though was Colleen Hoover, It Starts With Us. That one got 28% of the votes. A little bit surprising it didn't get more, but at the same time, I do think it wasn't, you know, an amazing sequel. So Hunting Adeline, it was a winner for that category. And then I had a best sports romance category, the best sports romance of 2022. The 5 books that I chose were Kiss Hard by Nalini Singh, Say You Swear by Megan Brandy, Blindside by Kandi Steiner, Beauty and the Baller by Ilsa Madden Mills, and The Summer Proposal by Vi Keeland. I've only read Kiss Hard on this list, so I probably would have voted for that, but the Kandi Steiner one, that book and that whole series is on my TBR. I will get to it eventually, but the winner won by quite a lot. It had 45% of the votes, almost half of them, and the winner is Blindside by Kandi Steiner. Not really surprising because of how big this book is and how much it blew up. So many people love this one, and I definitely need to get it soon. It's honestly been a while since the last time I read a good sports romance. I don't think they're as popular as they used to be, like the whole off-campus era, Wall of Winnipeg and Me era. That was huge for sports romances. But Blindside is getting a lot of love, and I definitely need to read it soon. For the best forbidden romance of 2022, I had What Was Meant to Be by Kiwi Tyler, Praise by Sara Cate, June 1st by Jennifer Hartman, and The Confidence of Wildflowers by Mikalia Smeltzer. I've only read 2 of them, What Was Meant to Be and Praise, and I definitely would have gone with What Was Meant to Be. And the winner of the best forbidden romance at over half of the votes, it got 53%, is Praise. Sara Kay and the whole Salacious Players Club series blew up this year, so not surprising that this one is the most popular. She's a great writer, and I definitely do plan on continuing with the series, and people always love the whole boyfriend's dad or the ex-boyfriend's dad, so it's a good type of forbidden romance. And the series got picked up by Bloom Books, so we'll definitely be seeing a lot more of it. The next category is the best historical romance of 2022. I did try to look for some indie historicals, but I didn't really find any that blew up. The 4 books that I chose were Heartbreaker by Sarah MacLean, A Matter of Temptation by Stacey Reid, A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera, and The Bride Goes Rogue by Joanna Shupe. If Lisa Kleypas had released a book this year, I definitely would have voted for it, but my vote here is for The Bride Goes Rogue by Joanna Shupe. That book was so much fun. I did read A Caribbean Heiress in Paris. I liked it, it was okay, but I haven't read the other 2, though they are on my TBR. And the one that the most people voted for is Heartbreaker by Sarah MacLean. This one, it was really close. This got 32% of the votes, and The Bride Goes Rogue got 31%, so these 2 were neck to neck. But Heartbreaker was the most popular one. I do think Sarah MacLean is the biggest author of these 4, so that's probably why. For the best enemies to lovers romance of 2022, this one I kind of had a hard time finding all the books for. I mean, there were 2 big ones that I immediately thought of, but the others I had a hard time finding. I'm like, what are people loving? What enemies to lovers are people loving? So I probably missed something in this list, but I went with Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma, Twisted Hate by Anna Huang, So Not Meant to Be by Megan Quinn, Taste by Melanie Harlow, and The Devil You Know by Elizabeth O'Rourke. The 2 big ones are of course Dating Dr. Dill and Twisted Hate, and the winner of the best enemies to lovers romance is Twisted Hate. This one won by a majority. It got 59 of the votes. Dating Dr. Jill got 18%, so not really that close, but Dating Dr. Jill was still pretty big. I mean, it was a book of the month book. I wasn't too sure about including the Melanie Harlow one, but I saw on Goodreads it had 15,000 ratings, so somebody's reading this one, but it did end up getting the fewest number of votes. But if anyone can tell me any big enemies to lovers romances that came out this year, or at least books that I didn't already include in any other categories, please let me know, because I feel like I'm drawing a blank on them. For the best friends to lovers romance of 2022, this one was a little bit obvious to predict just because that specific book is so popular, but I had to give the other books a chance, right? So my choices were Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, Misfits Like Us by Kristen Becker Ritchie, Devil of Dublin by B.B. Easton, What Lovers Do by Julie Ann, and Give Me More by Sarah Kate. The winner is, not surprisingly, Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This one won at 48%, almost half the votes. The second most popular one was Give Me More by Sarah Kate. People love Sarah Kate. I probably would have chosen Devil of Dublin just because that one was such a good read, and I did love it more than Hook, Line, and Sinker. Hook, Line, and Sinker for me, it just didn't live up to It Happened One Summer. That first book was amazing. Normally I do love Friends to Lovers, but Fox and Hannah, they were okay for me. The next category is the best arranged marriage / marriage of convenience romance. My choices were King of Wrath by Anna Huang, The Reluctant Bride by Monica Murphy, Shenanigans by Serena Bowen, Electric Idol by Katie Robert, and Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. Two of the books on this list got over 40% of the votes each, so it was basically a competition between these two. It was very, very close between King of Wrath and Terms and Conditions, but the winner ended up being King of Wrath by Anna Huang. King of Wrath got 45% and Terms and Conditions got 41%. Honestly, I forget how big Lauren Asher is because I read the first book in the Dreamland series and I didn't love it, so I tried not to think about her, but she's huge. I know she's big on TikTok, so is Anna, so it's not surprising that it was a competition between these two, but King of Wrath would have been my choice of these books, so I'm happy to see that it won. I haven't read Terms and Conditions yet, though I guess I really should. People did tell me that it was a lot better than the first book, and as a side note, I am so proud of myself for predicting that Terms and Conditions was gonna make it into the Goodreads Choice Awards. And it did. I'm pretty sure it's because it got picked up by Bloom, the whole series got picked up, and Goodreads is like, okay, fine, you're traditionally published now, you can come in. But yeah, I will read that one eventually. For the best contemporary romance of 2022, I tried not to make these all traditionally published, but they're still gonna be the big ones on this list. I have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, Booklovers by Emily Henry, My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, Running Wild by K.A. Tucker, and Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. My favorite of these is My Killer Vacation. This was the only one that I gave 5 stars to on this list. The other ones were like 3 or 4, though I haven't read Running Wild just yet, so maybe that's a future 5-star read for me. But this poll was fairly close. The top 3 all had 20-something%. Number 3 is Booklovers by Emily Henry with 20%. Number 2 is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover with 24%. And number 1, the one that won with 26%, is Love on the Brain. I did really like Love on the Brain. It was a 4-star read for me. I just didn't love it as much as The Love Hypothesis, but I'm not mad that Allie won because I do love Allie. In the next category, I had to show some love for the monsters. So I have The Company of Fiends by Catherine Moon, The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert, Sweet Berries by Siamnas Costa, A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain, and Deceived by the Gargoyles by Lillian Lark. I sadly have no favorite monster romance, or at least not one that I read yet. I do have, a month and a half left of 2022, so maybe I will eventually find that one because I fell in love with monster romances last year, but this year has kind of let me down. But the winner and the best monster romance of 2022 is The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. This one was really close though between The Dragon's Bride and A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. Dragon's Bride got 32% and A Soul to Keep got 29%. I did try to read A Soul to Keep for the Halloween season, but I kind of gave up after a few chapters. I mean, maybe I'll go back to it, but I just wasn't into the writing. But I know a lot of people love it. The whole dedication went viral, but Katee Robert did win. She is the most popular author of the 5, and I feel like a lot of people who've read her Neon God series, the Dark Olympus series, definitely jumped from that to The Dragon's Ride and discovered a love for monster romances through that. So I will give that book props for that, and also for the cover. For the best fantasy romance of 2022, the choices were The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout, A Curse of Queens by Amanda Boucher, A Curse of Blood and Stone by K.A. Tucker, A Game of Retribution by Scarlett St. Clair, and River of Shadows by Karina Halley. My favorite of these is River of Shadows, and not just because it's the only title that was different from the rest, but I really enjoyed this story and I loved the audiobook so much. So River of Shadows is my favorite, but the winner of the best fantasy romance is The War of Two Queens. It was actually so close between the top two because JLA got 4 more votes than K.A. Tucker. Both of them got 28% of the votes, but they both got 28% of the votes, but JLA beat K.A. Tucker out by 4 little votes. I haven't read either, so I can't really say which one's better, but River of Shadows was my favorite, and the only other one that I did read was A Game of Retribution, and that one was just okay. For the best reverse harem slash poly slash why choose romance, I had no idea which J. Bree book to choose in her Bonds That Tie series, so I just went with Forced Bonds, and then I also picked Losers by Harley LaRue, Wicked Beauty by Katee Robert, Happenstance by Tessa Bailey, The Never King by Nikki St. Croix, and Honey Trap by Tate James. This category was definitely the closest one out of all of them. All the books were in between 11 and 25%. The winner though was Wicked Beauty by Katee Robert. This one was the one with 25% of the votes. Second place was really close though between Forced Bonds and Happenstance, but Happenstance won by 4 votes. For my favorite, I definitely would have had a hard time choosing between J. Bree and Tate James, but I probably would have gone with Honey Trap just because I love the heroine so much. I also didn't expect so many people to be voting for Happenstance by Tessa Bailey, but people are really liking it. I'm still halfway through it and it's been fun so far. Not the best, but still fun to see Tessa Bailey trying out reverse harem. The next category that I have is the best paranormal slash sci-fi romance. The books that I chose were Storm Echo by Nalini Singh, Lover Arisen by J.R. Ward, When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata, The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and Monroe by Cresley Cole. This is one of the few categories that I actually have read every single one of these books. My pick, my favorite of these would be Storm Echo by Nalini Singh. I freaking love this book. Sadly though, it did get the least amount of votes, and the winner ended up being The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I was kind of shocked. I didn't realize how many people love this one, but it won at 35%, and second place was Lover Arisen by J.R. Ward at 20%. So a pretty big gap between these two, but people really like that ghost romance. I thought it was a cute read. It reminded me a lot of the Mediator series by Meg Cabot, so that was some good nostalgia. I also was really curious to see how many people would be voting for the new Mariana Zapata because it's her first non-contemporary romance. It did okay with 18% of the votes, and I did like the book. It was very interesting to read about a superhero romance, and I'm very curious to see if Mariana would write something like this again. For the best dark romance of 2022, there were quite a few big ones that came out this year. There's Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger, Does It Hurt by H.G. Carlton, God of Malice by Rena Kent, Wretched by Emily McIntyre, and The Savage by Sophie Lark. I probably would have voted for Wretched. I did really enjoy that one, and I like the whole bad girl, good boy vibe there. God of Malice was good, Pen Pal and Doesn't Hurt were really weird, and I haven't read The Savage. I've only read the first book in that series, but the winner ended up being Does It Hurt by H.G. Carlton. This one won at 32% of the votes. People love H.G. Carlton, so I'm not surprised this was the one people voted for the most. I just personally didn't love it. For the best new adult slash college romance, I picked Misfit by Elle Kennedy, Falls Boys by Penelope Douglas, Darling Venom by Parker S. Huntington, and A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. I have read all of these books and I would have easily voted for Falls Boys, but I was very surprised by the one that actually won, which was A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. This one won at a whopping 62%. I knew this book was big, but I didn't realize it was that big, or maybe people just really hated the other ones, but a large majority did vote for A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, and it was a cute read. I did really enjoy it. It's a very classic high school new adult romance. I'm sure I would have eaten it up if I was in high school or college, but I loved Falls Boys the most here because I'm just a Penelope Douglas fangirl. And yeah, it wasn't even close between number 1 and number 2 because A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime got 62 and then second best got 15%. The next category is Best Forced Proximity Romance, and this one I had The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas, Heartless by Elsie Silver, Something Wilder by Christina Lauren, and Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. And the Best Forced Proximity Romance won at 50% of the votes, which is The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. No surprise there, just because of how big Elena is. Number 2 though was Heartless by Elsie Silver. This one got 31%. Again, I really need to hop on the Elsie Silver train, but I was actually surprised that Something Wilder or Christina Lauren didn't get more love. I was very shocked I didn't see Christina Lauren on the Goodreads Choice Awards because they make it pretty much every year, but I guess this time they just wasn't as good. Even though this was the one recent release of theirs that I actually enjoyed. I did really like Mr. Wrong Number though, and I probably would have voted for it. It would have been between that or The American Roommate Experiment. And then the second to last category is the Best Fake Relationship Romance. My picks were Twisted Lies by Anna Huang, 10 Trends to Seduce Your Best Friend by Penny Reed, The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa, and The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. The winner here had an overwhelming number of votes at 79%. And it's Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. I would have chosen The Bodyguard. That book is one of my favorite reads this year. It is so good. Twisted Lies is sadly not my favorite in the Twisted series, though I'm not at all surprised to see that I won. I would have loved to see more love for Penny Reed though, because 10 Trends was such a cute read. And then the last category I had to include just because it is the holiday season, so I had the Best Holiday Romance category. I went with 6 books here. There's A Merry Little Meet Cute by Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy, Homecoming King by Penny Reed, The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Leese, Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle, A Very Merry Bromance by Lissa K. Adams, and Kiss Her Once for Me by Allison Cochran. I read 3 of these, A Merry Little Meet Cute, Homecoming King, and Just Like Magic. My favorite of the 3 is Homecoming King. I loved it so much. It's such a good holiday romance and it's got a marriage of convenience. The winner here is actually really close between number 1 and number 2. Number 2 was The Mistletoe Motive, which got 24%, and number 1 is A Merry Little Meet Cute, which got 25%. It was only 3 votes in between them, but A Merry Little Meet Cute did end up on top, and it's a fun read, so I'm not mad about that at all. But that's it for the 19 categories of Lacey's Romance Choice Awards. Let me know what books you would have voted for, what your favorite reads of this year are. If there are any books that I forgot to include, I'm sure you're gonna let me know. I actually had a lot of fun making these and putting them up on Instagram and seeing what everybody voted for. So I'm thinking I should probably make this a yearly thing. As always, links to all the books that I mentioned will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!